My name is Sam Shafer. This is my wife, Crystal, and this is our real life moment. I grew up in Maple Valley, same class as Taylor. I was a troubled child. I got addicted to drugs really early on. 13, I started using marijuana and alcohol, and I was instantly hooked. I needed it to forget about who I was because I had this voice inside me telling me that I wasn't good enough. When I was 16, my sister brought me to a church and I had an experience with Jesus. He met me right there where I was at, but it was just like the parable of the seeds, where some of the seeds fell on rocky ground and it just sprouted up and wilted right away. I was like that. I felt my heart filled fuller than it ever had been in my entire life at that moment, but I instantly forgot about it and started chasing after all those things I always did. At that same time, I met my wife, Crystal, and we started dating. We had a good relationship, but we had some very bad habits.
It was every weekend that we were doing drugs, drinking. And the self-destructive behavior I always saw in Sam always made my heart so sad. Seemed so much good in him that I was always determined to be a good part of his life, regardless whether I was his girlfriend or just a friend for life.
I think she saw something in me that I never even saw inside of myself. But she always stuck around. She was like my sidekick. Like, I couldn't shake her even when I wanted to. And I'm so grateful for that today. But I had become addicted to methamphetamines, and that was the drug I used solely for that entire time.
Reasonably so, things were going downhill. Sam still had destructive behavior at that time, and nobody would believe it that he was willing to overdose and off himself through drugs, and it seemed like I was the only person that cared, yet nobody would believe me.
When we were 22, we found out Crystal was pregnant, and I just had so much joy in my heart because I thought things were going to change for the first time.
So immediately, that was it for me. I had a whole nother life to look after that was growing inside me, so I stopped doing drugs.
For me, it didn't. For Crystal, it changed. She was able to get away from the drugs, but for some reason I kept using. Even though we were married and we had a beautiful child, I couldn't kick it, not by myself. I always thought that God would give me the power to do it by myself. I never even fathomed that He might use other people to change my life. I kept on praying that sinner's prayer, get me out of this, I'll do anything. And one day I showed up and my boss was at my job, and he's never there. His name was Michael, and he told me they were going to take a drug test. And I went and I failed the drug test. I told him before I even went that I couldn't do it, but he said, we have to do this. Michael told me that he had a plan. When I failed that drug test, I had to admit to myself for the first time, honestly, that I was choosing drugs over my wife and my children. He called me the next day and told me to come and meet him. So I went there, and he had me sign this last chance agreement that defined what I was going to do to keep my job. And then he asked me, do your parents live around here? I said, yes, my mother lives in Maple Valley. He said, let's go see her. I didn't know what he was doing, but he brought me there, and he had me tell my mother everything that I had done over the past 6 years, my addiction, my hiding everything, my lying to everyone. He made me come clean about everything for the first time. And after I was done telling my mother all this, he told me that if I didn't do exactly what he said, that he was going to call CPS and have Gwendolyn taken away. And I was already signed up to do whatever he wanted me to do, but it sealed the deal. I knew that it was the time, that was the moment when things were going to change for me. I went to treatment for 28 days, and I got out and went back to work, and it's been 3 years and 7 months since then. Decided to give back because it's taught, even in the Bible and the program that I use, that you can only keep what you have by giving it away. I got to buy a house. I have an amazing relationship with my wife today. The real story, I feel, is hers of endurance, waiting that 12 years for a bad boy to turn into a man of God. I don't think I would have waited for myself that long, but for some reason she waited for me.
it's amazing where we came from to be where we are now. And it was quite a journey. I'm glad I stuck through it. But I never doubted that we could make it through.
And today, my victory over all my problems is just shows the power of God, that He's amazing, that He can do anything if you'll just let Him help you.